Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back for another video. We have the New York Jets Chargers recap that I am dreading to get into. My Wi-Fi was out all day yesterday. My 4K camera is not working today. Yeah, it's been a shit show. That's why I'm a little late to the party here with the recap. But before we get into things, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Like the video if you actually liked it. Follow me on Instagram and on X at TurnUpTheJets, all one word. Of course, I'm Joe Skirdo, as always, your host, aka Turn Up the Jets. I mean, yeah, you see it. This was a shit show. This was an absolute disgrace. It was pathetic. I was not even depressed. I was more pissed off because this team tricks people. Like, it tricked me, and I'm sure it tricked many of thousands and thousands of Jets fans, as this team, every time it has us that we finally start to believe, it all goes to shit. Last year, you're 5-2. Cool, you lose your last 6 straight games to go 7-10. You don't make the playoffs for a 12th straight year. This year, we all know about coming into the season and the expectations. Despite that fact, they ended up going 4-3. They win 3 in a row with Zach Wilson. He leads them with 25 seconds left in an improbable victory over a hated rival Giants team. And now we're all excited all week. Monday night prime time. We've gotten disrespected for so many years because we're never on prime time. We are finally on prime time against a fraud of a franchise like the Chargers, who always have these expectations with good rosters and never can pull it through. They have the 32nd ranked passing offense or defense, whatever, and the Jets still get embarrassed. 27-6. The Chargers had 191 total offensive yards. Herbert only had, 136 in the air? He was 16 for 30. The Jets were able to sack him 5 times. It's ridiculous every damn time, man, with this team. This offense is terrible. And Zach Wilson is terrible. I just don't get how we're going to stand by and continue to make excuses for this dude. Is he the only problem? No, but he's the biggest. The Jets certainly have a grocery list of problems on the offensive side, but he is number one by far. You could say what you want with the offensive line, but I thought Tittman and Becton played well last night or Monday. I did. Tittman only allowed 2 pressures, and basically every time Bosa and Mack were on the left side, they were irrelevant because Becton was taking care of business, especially in the passing game. But despite that, yes, the offensive line is terrible. Laken Tomlinson stinks. Billy Turner is not even an NFL offensive lineman. And Max Mitchell isn't a guard. It's that simple. Wilson was sacked 8 times, but I would say probably 3 of those were the offensive line's fault. He hung on to the ball for over 3 seconds in average throw, and he threw the ball 49 times. He's been dead last every year in terms of getting the ball out quickly. He can't do it because he can't read defenses, because he's not a good quarterback. Say what you want. Perfect example. Go to look at Chicago. Tyson Bagent is an undrafted rookie who went to a Division II college. Justin Fields gets injured. And by the way, this team's only won 2 games, but Justin Fields gets injured. And this offense, I would say 2 out of the 3 games, has looked competent. They smoked the Raiders, and they go toe-to-toe with the Saints on the road against a really good defense. only losing 24-17 last week. He had a pair of touchdown passes. I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get Zach Wilson to throw a pair of touchdown passes. The Bears' offensive line stinks. You go DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, that's a wash. Everything else is unknown with the receiving core. Khalil Herbert's on the IR. You're playing with Deontay Foreman, who's basically a journeyman running back on a different team almost every year, it seems. He was on the Titans 2 years ago. He was on the Panthers last year. He's on the Bears this year. A very inconsistent career. Cole Kmet, okay. But Conklin and Kmet, that is like the same to me. What is so much different than the Bears offense and the Jets? Nothing. If anything, the Jets offense is better because they have 2 stars on it. They have Breece Hall. They have Garrett Wilson. So tell me why Tyson Bagent is able to put up competent numbers and put his team in the game and actually score points, but Zach Wilson can't. And he hasn't been able to do it for 3 years. Bagent has done it in 3 games. I don't get it. And obviously, I want the kid to succeed. Obviously. Clearly. I'm not being a hater. It's the facts. This is real life. I'm not trying to hate. Like, wake up. How can anybody sit here and keep defending him? Yes, he's not the only issue. But again, he is the biggest. It is the NFL. At the end of the day, it is blamed on the quarterback if the offense cannot score touchdowns. They can't. They have 8 touchdowns in 8 games. One of those was a free touchdown. They have 1 touchdown. In what, 3 games? 1 real touchdown? Give me a break. This guy has 20 touchdowns in 3 years. Trevor Siemian has 42. He is not good. He is not. And that's the thing. I was teased. Last week, it's like, oh, maybe he could build off this and become competent. And someday, I never thought he was going to be the Jets' future. Never. I made a video. I think I got like 10 plus dislikes on it, which is hilarious because, I don't have this huge following, obviously. But it was funny that I got like a ton of dislikes on that video. There are so many Zach Wilson truthers. It's insane. Like, do these people watch the damn game? Like, yes, he doesn't have a perfect situation, but no quarterback does. Joe Burrow has had bottom tier offensive lines his entire career. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 AFC championships. He's turned a miserable franchise that went 0-7 in their long-term coach and Marvin Lewis. And he turned them around and made them relevant. Now they're one of the most feared teams in not the AFC, but the entire league. Not every team's situation is perfect. It's no such thing. There's always going to be a hole. But the Jets, the matter of the fact is they have a star running back and a star receiver. Not too many teams have both. And they have a very competent tight end in Conklin. Conklin had 6 catches for 66 yards on Monday night. I think Conklin would have been a really good tight end this year with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think he's a top 15 tight end in the league, certainly. Ruckert has some, I think Ruckert has some potential there as well. But, like, that's the thing. Like, his situation isn't perfect. I get it. But no quarterback is. Like, it's time to stop with the excuses and point the finger at Wilson. We have dealt with this for 3 years. The Jets offense last year without Zach Wilson averaged 400 yards a game with Mike White and Joe Flacco. A year before, he was also outplayed by Mike White and Josh Johnson. Like, it's clear every time he is not the quarterback of the New York Jets over the last 3 years, the offense has been average. That's all they need. Not even. They were putting up 400 yards. Like, Josh Johnson was putting up 300 passing yards when he came in against the Indianapolis Colts on the Thursday night football game in Zach Wilson's rookie year. Mike White was throwing for 300 plus every game. Like, every time a new quarterback steps in, they are automatically better than this dude. And they have the same situation. And this is Josh Johnson we're talking about, who's been on like 85 teams. This is Mike White, who was an undrafted free agent. This is Joe Flacco, who's like 95 years old. Enough with the damn excuses. No. Do the Jets have another option? No, but that's because it's because the franchise is blinded by it. It's their fault. It's the front office's fault. It's Joe Douglas's fault. Why in the world would you go into this season, right, of after the disaster you dealt with last year? You got to stop using he's the second overall pick. Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. And people got to, same thing with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Who cares? He's a great quarterback. Who gives a shit where he was drafted? Zach Wilson is a bad quarterback. Who gives a shit where he was drafted? But how do you go into this year after the disaster you went through? You were 5-2. You were 6-3, right? 6-3 after going into your bye week. And you end up going 7-10. You bench Zach Wilson. Everyone else automatically loves the backup more. They're wearing t-shirts of this guy because they were a competent offense. Now, how do you go in with your only other quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers? How is he the automatic backup? He played it like an XFL quarterback. He was garbage last year. He has been garbage his entire career. How do you just let that go? And even when Rodgers got hurt, they don't do anything. They signed Trevor Siemian, who has bounced around in his career, who, by the way, I said still has double the amount of touchdowns. He's 22 more touchdowns than Zach Wilson does in the same years of 3 years. Bonkers. But how do you only do that? And they waited till I think after the Patriots game, going into week 4. How did they not immediately bring someone in? And yes, I get it. They won week 1. But why? Like, I'm sorry. How does Carson Wentz stay as a free agent for 9 weeks? And if anyone who's backing Zach Wilson is making fun of me about Carson Wentz, then, like, get the hell out of here. Wentz, of course, was a disaster last season. Year before, yes, everyone says he sucked because he lost to the Jaguars. The dude threw for nearly over 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. When is the last time any Jets quarterback has thrown that many touchdowns? Zach doesn't have that in 3 years. You go way back to Fitzpatrick, who has the most in their history. He got 31, I believe, in 2015. If the Jets had a quarterback that put those numbers up with this defense, they'd win the AFC East. Literally. In the state of the AFC East, what it is right now. With the Dolphins struggling to find their identity. No, I'm sorry. The Bills struggling to find their identity, and the Dolphins struggling to beat anyone relevant. Like, the Dolphins only beat shitty teams, and they can't beat good teams. And their 3 losses, 2 of them, the Jets have beaten. And one of the other one arguably could have beat. And the Patriots are the Patriots, and there's 2-7. If you had a quarterback that put up those numbers, not even those numbers, half of it. Literally. He put up 15 touchdowns and 5 picks. You'd be in business. We wouldn't be having this conversation. I wouldn't have freaking high blood pressure from this damn team. It's like, it's old. It's getting old. Like Tyson Bagent. How about Joshua Dobbs? Right? He goes for a 7th round draft pick Tuesday's deadline. He gets thrown in after one drive because Jaron Hall gets concussed trying to make a play for a touchdown. After they lost Cousins with an Achilles injury. Dobbs comes in. Oh, it sounds familiar, right? Vikings has their star quarterback go down to Achilles. They have a young, unproven quarterback. But guess what they did? They signed a legitimate veteran, a guy who has bounced around, yes, but has been competent. He played well with Arizona. Well enough. Arizona stinks, though. He went in and did a job with Tennessee last year. He's a quarterback. He's an NFL quarterback. And they go get this guy for a 7th-round pick. He comes in not knowing names of the players, not knowing a single play. I get it. He's like a damn astronaut. He's a very knowledgeable guy. But he still did it. He was a, 4th-round draft pick? He comes in off the streets not knowing anything. And by the way, leads them to a 2-minute drill to win the game at the very end. Is that situation perfect? No. Justin Jefferson is hurt. KJ Osborne went out early. Hawkinson was in and out because he was banged up. They just traded their best guard. Akers blew his Achilles out during that game. It wasn't perfect. He came in and he won the game. And if he didn't, we wouldn't have made excuses that his situation wasn't perfect. It doesn't matter. Who cares? We know Zach Wilson's situation isn't perfect, but the matter of fact is, he stinks. He stinks. Wake up. I saw a tweet that said that he outplayed Herbert. He outplayed Herbert. Are you kidding me? Just because of the stats, he threw 49 times. I hope he got 260. I hope he did. Did you mention how he can't hold on to the football? And he fumbles every week? And he takes 8 sacks? At some point, you got to stop blaming the offensive line with how many sacks you're taking. 8 is ridiculous. That's like Madden. Are we going to mention that? And who gives a shit that he isn't throwing interceptions? Fumbling is arguably as worse. He's fumbling the ball. I don't care that he's not throwing interceptions. He shouldn't be because he's afraid to throw. He's scared. He barely can throw the ball downfield. He goes to his first read or a check down. That's it. He can never envision the field. He can never go. He can never just visualize the field. I can't even go through his reads. Read number 1, read number 2, read number 3. I can't even talk because I'm so pissed off. He stinks. Get over it. Move on. Do they have better guys behind him? No, but at least they're unknown. Maybe Simeon, you kind of know what you'll get. Give Boyle a try. You signed him for a reason. Give him a try. I have no idea. Know nothing about this guy. You barely can find his stats on the internet. The unknown might be good. Bajan is a Division II quarterback. Aiden O'Connell was going to play Division III, who's starting against the Jets this Sunday for the Raiders, who, by the way, put up 30 against the Giants, who the Jets barely put up 13. They had 7 for 59 minutes of that game. This dude puts up 30. The Raiders' offensive line, by the way, stinks too. O'Connell was a walk-on in Purdue. He didn't get his chance until his 5th year of college. He becomes a 4th-round draft pick, and he's able to put up 30 points. He only lost 24-17 against the Chargers. He fumbled 3 times. Okay, that was his first career start, and he still almost beat him. He was 7 points away. They had a chance. They were in the red zone, and then they turned over the ball. Yes, he might have lost him the game, but he was still in it. He was still competent. He didn't lose 27-6 when my defense gave up 190 yards against the opposing offense to supposedly a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League. We got to stop with the excuses, dude. Like, I'm not even going over the game. Like, this is just Zach Wilson sucks, and they have to figure it out. A lot of other things wrong. Garrett Wilson can't fumble the ball. Breece Hall cannot fumble a pitch. And by the way, it was a shitty pitch, whatever. We know Wilson, he can't fumble. He's been fumbling every game. The defense needs to learn how to recover a fumble. I'm done with Michael Clemens. Cool. He's scary. Ooh. Let's get him out of there and let's see what Will McDonald can do. We finally saw what McDonald can do. You got to sack immediately. Ditch Michael Clemens. He's a 4th-round pick, whatever. He's a special teamer. Barely, though, because he goes offsides during a punt. Back-to-back terrible mistakes. Jump on the damn ball. He tries to pick it up. Why? Why are you picking it up? If he dove in that ball, the Jets would have got the ball 17-6, and if they score, it's a game. They probably wouldn't have because they couldn't score to freaking save their lives. But jump on the ball, like that's a simple thing. They weren't able to do that. Tons of mistakes here. I get it. Uzama stinks. Lazard stinks. I mean, Alan Lazard, 4 years, $44 million to drop passes and get holding penalties. We heard all offseason how good of a blocker he is in terms of being probably the best wide receiver blocker in the league. People raving about him. He can't get away with the block without holding a guy. The penalties, too. My goodness. This team is not disciplined. They did go into the Giants game and whatnot, not being penalized, but they have really went far away from that. 8 penalties. Half of them were before the snap. And that's when you really know you stink. Know the count. How are you going offsides before the snap? Illegal shifts. False starts. I mean, what the hell is going on? And Nathaniel Hackett, I did not forget about you because I actually defended him multiple times on this channel, but I'm done with that. This dude stinks too. He's only there because of Rodgers. He's only a product of Aaron Rodgers. Any other quarterback he has coached other than Rodgers without Matt LaFleur holding his hand, he has stunk. He teased us with that Chiefs game. We got blinded a bit because they still scored 31 against Denver. But other than that, this offense is terrible. The play calling is terrible. What is up with these shotgun plays on 3rd downs? Why can't you run the ball 3rd and short? Breece Hall had 16 carries, but that game, he should have had about 30. Literally. He should have had 30. And I get it. Go into the game, they were a really good run defense and a really bad pass defense. But that's not how the game went. You couldn't pass for shit. Cool. He got 260 yards, 49 passes. Congratulations. Most quarterbacks are thrown for 350 if they're thrown nearly 50 times. Simple. But why are you giving Breece Hall the ball more? He had 16 carries for 50 yards. I get it. But he was moving the ball. It doesn't help when his 2 biggest gains of the night were called back of stupid holding penalties by Lazard and Garrett Wilson, who had a shitty night with the fumble and the penalty. Yeah, 7 catches, 80 yards, great. But it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it just goes down as garbage yards, just like Wilson's passing yards. Garbage. No, but it's hilarious. People actually think that Herbert was outplayed by Zach Wilson. The score is 27-6. In what world does a quarterback outplay another quarterback when he scores 6 points? He didn't even score a touchdown. You know what Herbert did? He was able to score touchdowns. Yes, was he gifted good field position? He was. You know why? Because of Zach Wilson. Like, what the hell are we doing? What are we talking about? Let's look into the stats. First downs. Jets had more. The Jets ran 79. No, how many plays did they run? I think the Jets ran 77 plays, dude. First down, 17-14 in favor of the Jets. 12 of them were passing. 2 of them were rushing. Third down efficiency. They continue. They're going down as one of the worst third down offenses in the league. They go 3 for 17. Right now, if the season ended at 24% rate of getting third downs, it would be the worst since 1978. 1978. What in the world? In a league that they barely passed. 1978. It's 22%. I'm sorry. I think the red zone is 24%. Equally as shitty. 3 for 17 on third downs. The Chargers were really good on third downs. 7 for 16. That was really the only issue the defense had, was stopping them on third down, especially during the end when it was 17-6. They got 4 consecutive third downs in one drive, including that insane catch by Keenan Allen. But other than that, and then total plays, yeah, the Jets 77, the Chargers 56. They got 21 more plays than them, and they scored 6 points. Like, this is crazy. If you just take away the score, it's like, how in the world are they so bad that they can't win? Total yards 270 to 191. As I mentioned, 191 for the Chargers. 13 drives for both teams. 3.4 yards a play for the Chargers, 3.5 for the Jets. Red zone, Chargers were 2 for 2. Jets were 0 for 2. You also can't give up a punt return, man. Like, come on, dude. The punt return after that, it's like, all right, this is bad. You see the Jets, their first 2 drives, the punt return. It doesn't feel like this is a game you're winning. But hey, at the end of the day, the Jets are still technically in it. It's easy to overreact, and obviously, maybe you think I'm overreacting. I don't think so. You know, I'm starting Boyle or Simeon this week. If I was the Jets won't. Salo was asked about it on the Michael K show yesterday, and he was just like mumbling, and he sounded like me when I can't get my words out because he didn't know what to say because he knew Michael K was right. He knows Zach Wilson shouldn't be starting. So what the hell's going on? Is he being told by the upper staff or the front office or the ownership that they got to keep starting Zach Wilson? I can imagine that. I can't, because Woody Johnson went through everything to land Aaron Rodgers. Dude flew a private jet after like an hour. He was told that they can go see him. I mean, they did everything they could. They traded multiple draft picks to get him. They did just about everything to get Aaron Rodgers. So like, I can't really imagine that this dude is very attached to keeping Zach Wilson stinking up the joint every week at the quarterback position. Is this like a Joe Douglas thing? Is it a pride thing because he drafted him 2nd overall? I don't know. I mean, you look at it outside the draft, the 2021 draft, 2022 draft, I'm sorry, Joe Douglas has drafted miserably. Like, it's time to face the facts. The 2020 draft was an absolute pathetic joke. 2021 is looking like a pathetic joke. When you have, besides maybe AVT, this year it's pretty too early to tell. But McDonald looked nice. He hasn't gotten the chances, but I think McDonald still has a lot of potential. I do like Joe Tippmann, so I can't hate on this class just yet. But I don't know. Is it a pride thing? What is it? Why are we just refusing? Like, they benched him the last 2 years. I guess Zach got hurt in his rookie year, but then it was like, oh yeah, Mike White had that really good game. Did the Jets even go back to Zach Wilson? Last season they benched him because of it, because Mike White looked better than Zach Wilson the year before. So I just don't know why. And am I automatic? Like, is Boyle and Simeon going to be much better? I don't know. Probably not. But it's just the unknown. It's something different. You know what you're getting out of Zach Wilson. And let's be honest, their offense can't get any worse. You look at the statistics, they're going to be going down as one of the worst offenses ever right now. As I mentioned, in that third down conversions, they might be one of the worst offenses on third downs ever. They're on pace for that. So how it can't get any worse. It can't. It really can't. So why not try the unknown and see if it works? And another play I forgot to mention. I think it was third down. Zach Wilson uses his legs, gets out of the pocket. It looks like he's going to run, and he flips it to Michael Carter, who the Charger was legit like in his ass, like up his asshole. Hit him immediately. Was he going to get the first down? I don't know. He would have had to made a play, but he certainly had a better chance than Michael Carter. It's just those plays. He plays scared. He's afraid. He's not an NFL quarterback. When he started and, they were winning and they were scrapping, it's like, oh, whatever. At least he's a backup. I don't even know if he's a backup anymore. I really don't. There's really not much else to get out of this game. The Jets lost 27-6. Yes, they're not totally out of it now. Still, they got the Raiders coming up. More guests on the way for a preview there for the Raiders Jets on Sunday Night Football. And God bless everyone's soul for having to watch the Jets back-to-back weeks on primetime, because it looks like Zach Wilson's going to be the starter, because Saleh said, they're not making any changes in his presser yesterday in terms of play calling and quarterback. But, at what point does this guy not have a leash, though? Like, that's the thing. Saleh has not benched Zach during a game. And Zach has had he's had a lot of atrocious performances. He's never done it. Even last year, right after the Pats game, he committed to him. Then the next day he said, we're going to evaluate our quarterback situation. And then Mike White ended up getting the start against the Bears. You know how the rest ended. But maybe he changes his mind. I don't know. But I mean, if they lose here, it's no excuse. Like the Jets season might be over if they lose here. This is a winnable game. If you look at it, you're what, 3-3 after you beat the Eagles. You look at the next 3 games. You have the Giants, you have the Chargers, you have the Raiders. We talked about how winnable these games were. But the thing was, you had to stay over 500 before going into those huge divisional games back-to-back against the Bills and then the Dolphins on Black Friday. So the Jets still have a chance to do that. Jets still have a chance with all the shit that they've been through to go 5-4. That is the crazy thing about this. They're not 1-7. They're not. They're 500. And it's crazy to look at this team and say they have the most elite defense you can get and the worst offense in history. All you need is to be below average, and the Jets might have 2 extra wins. The Jets probably beat the Patriots. The Jets probably, I can't say they beat the Chargers, but they're certainly in the game. It's certainly not 27-6. Like, I don't think the Chargers did not play well. The Jets played horribly. The Chargers front was good. Yeah. But other than that, their offense couldn't move the ball to save their lives, and they were lucky. They gave the Jets potentially 2 turnovers. The Jets couldn't capitalize. Almost 3. Whitehead had an interception. He dropped it. It was tough. It was on 3rd down, though. They still had to punt. But their offense did not play well with all this star power we talk about with these Chargers. They didn't play well. The Jets just played horribly. A win is a win. I'm not knocking them for a win, but like the Jets were just terrible. Like, end of story. Well, yeah, with this Raiders game, you have to win. You go 5-4, and then you'll see what you got with the Bills and the Dolphins. So at the same time, if they lose, then Zach Wilson's done. Like, Zach Wilson has to be benched. But then you're going like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what what they're going to do. And I'm going to end the recap on this because I'm done. If the Jets decide, which it looks like they're going to, what they're going to do is they're going to decide to go with Zach Wilson, going 4-4 in a game against the Raiders. That is winnable, right? They have a rookie quarterback. I know they have some good weapons on the offensive side. Their offensive line is suspect. Their defense is improved. They have a really good front with Max Crosby, who's an absolute beast, but they're a beatable team at the end of the day. They're a beatable team still playing with an interim head coach, who, by the way, I love. But what they're going to do is they're going to bring Zach Wilson in there, and if they lose and go 4-5, then you bench him. But the problem is you bench him against at Buffalo and versus Miami in games that decide your season. You know what Zach Wilson is. You know what you have in him. No matter how many times you try to lie to yourself, you got to look in the mirror and face the facts that this guy stinks. So why wouldn't you go for the unknown and start one of those 2 guys who, by the way, it might not be better, but it won't be worse. I promise you that. That's the thing. People can say all they want. It's not going to get better. Hey, it won't get worse. And I just remembered something. I have to end the show on that, by the way. I'll get into that. But why wouldn't you start one of those guys? And if you get a win, you're 5-4 and you're confident. You go in confident with a new quarterback. You have a new identity. You start this guy, he wins you prime time. Now you're going to play the Bills, and let's make it interesting. And let's shock the world. You have the momentum. Instead of going 4-5, losing 2 terrible games on prime time in a row, and now playing a backup against Josh Allen. Say what you want against Buffalo, but at Buffalo against his team is still not easy. But they're going to do the opposite because that's what this franchise does too. And the last thing, I have seen humans talk on social media, and this is why I hate like social media, like getting into the war. All the Jets fans, Jets Twitter is awesome, but they're getting into war right now because the Zach Wilson truthers are out of control. I stay out of that drama. I am 27 years old. I'm not getting in Twitter fights. That's just way past my thing. But I've seen people legit say that this offense would not be better with Aaron Rodgers or much better. Like that has been a real tweet. This offense wouldn't be better with Aaron Rodgers. See ya.
Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are